I used to jog almost every night after dinner, around 9:30. I live in a college town that's usually pretty quiet after dark, and running helped clear my head. There's a loop behind my apartment complex that winds through a small wooded area and past a couple small parks before circling back. Peaceful, shaded by tall trees, with enough streetlights to feel safe. At least, I used to think so. About a month ago, I noticed a guy jogging behind me. Not unusual at first. I'd seen other runners out late, but something about this guy felt off. He was always exactly the same distance behind me, keeping perfect pace. If I slowed down, so did he. If I picked up speed, he matched it. He never had any headphones in his ears, never had his phone in his hand. He always just wore the same gray hoodie with the hood pulled up, even in the summer heat. So I decided to test something. I stopped to tie my shoe, and he slowed down too, not even pretending to do anything, just walked in place until I started running again. That was the first time I felt genuinely uneasy. The next night, I switched things up. I left earlier and took a different trail, one that cuts behind the university science buildings. It's less traveled and a little darker, but I figured the change would shake him off. About half a mile in, I started to feel better. No one behind me, just my footsteps on the pavement and the occasional cicada buzzing from the trees. I was finally relaxing when I noticed someone ahead, standing perfectly still under one of the few streetlights. Same gray hoodie, same guy. He wasn't jogging this time, he was just waiting. I stopped moving completely. He didn't move, not at first. Then he turned his head slightly, like he was just now noticing me. That's when I heard it, the soft slap of his sneakers as he suddenly started sprinting toward me. Not running, charging. I bolted the opposite direction, full panic mode. I could hear him gaining on me, his breath, his footsteps, fast and heavy. I didn't dare look back, I just ran, cutting through some side paths I barely remembered, ducking under tree branches and leaping over puddles. After what felt like forever, I saw the parking lot near the student union building. There were people, a few late-night stragglers, hanging out. I didn't stop until I was standing under the floodlights, doubled over and gasping for air. I looked behind me. Nothing. He was gone. Campus police took a report but didn't find anyone matching the description. No cameras were on that trail either. I haven't gone jogging since. Not even during the day. I don't know if this is related, but a few nights later I heard someone knock on my door at 3 a.m. I didn't answer. I just sat in the dark and waited. The next morning I found a single muddy footprint on my welcome mat, facing the door. I have no idea if that was the same guy, but I can't imagine it wasn't. Last year, I worked the night shift at a small gas station off the interstate. It wasn't a bad job, mostly quiet, and I liked the solitude. Most nights it was just me, the hum of the lights, and the occasional late-night traveler. One night, around 2:15 a.m., a man walked in. He looked to be in his 40s, with sunken eyes, greasy hair, and clothes that looked like they hadn't been changed in days. He didn't say anything when I greeted him, just walked over to the coffee machine and stared at it for a while. Eventually he poured himself a cup and walked to the counter. He set the cup down but didn't speak, just stared at the register. I said, "That'll be $1.19. And he started pulling out change, slowly, one coin at a time. A few quarters, some nickels. I swear it took him almost a full minute. No expression on his face, not even blinking. After setting the money down, he just walked out, didn't take the coffee, didn't say a word. I watched as he stood at the edge of the parking lot, facing the woods across the street, completely still. Something about him made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. I locked the doors. 15 minutes later, I took the trash out back, and sure enough, there he was, standing behind the dumpster. I stopped in my tracks. "Hey, sir, you can't be back here." He didn't respond. He just turned his head slowly, looked at me and smiled, just barely. I backed up and went inside, locked the back door, called the sheriff's office. A few minutes passed, and I walked to the front to make sure he hadn't come back around again. He had. He was standing at the glass door, both hands pressed against it, just staring at me. His face was blank, but his breathing was heavy. I could hear it through the glass. Then he started trying the handle, rattling it hard. That's when I saw him reach into his jacket. I ducked behind the counter and told the dispatcher that he might have a weapon. She told me officers were on the way and to stay hidden. I peeked over the counter just as I heard a loud crack. He'd thrown something at the glass, maybe a rock. A spiderweb of cracks spread across the door. He hit it again, harder this time. That's when the sirens kicked in. He turned and bolted towards the woods, but the deputies were fast. I watched through the front window as they tackled him near the tree line. Took 3 officers to cuff him. He was fighting like an animal. Later I found out he had a long list of prior incidents, including stalking and assault. They found zip ties and a small folding knife in his jacket. If I hadn't locked the door when I did, I honestly don't know what would happen. That was my last night working the night shift. A couple of years ago, I agreed to house sit for a family friend while they were away on a cruise. It was a nice 2-story place in a quiet suburban neighborhood, the kind with trimmed hedges, mailboxes shaped like lighthouses, and the same model of SUV in every driveway. They had a small dog, a fridge full of leftovers, and Netflix logged in. I figured I'd treat it like a paid mini vacation. The first night was uneventful. I watched a movie, walked the dog, then crashed in the guest room upstairs. I'm a pretty light sleeper, so I noticed every crack and pop the house made. It wasn't anything weird, just typical settling sounds, but still, it took me a while to fall asleep. The next day I noticed something small but strange. The back door deadbolt was unlocked. I clearly remembered locking all the doors the night before. I chalked it up to forgetfulness and moved on. Locked everything again that night. Triple checked even. That second night around 2 a.m., I woke up suddenly. It wasn't a noise that woke me, it was a feeling, like something was off. I sat up and listened, but I heard nothing. But when I glanced toward the hallway outside the guest room, I swear I saw a faint shadow move across the floor. Just a small flicker, like someone walking by. I completely stopped moving. The dog, who had been asleep at the foot of the bed, sat up too, ears perked. He was silent. He just stared toward the hallway. After a full minute of silence, I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight. The hallway was empty. I checked every room upstairs. Nothing. Then I worked my way down to the first floor. That's when I noticed the sliding glass door in the kitchen, open about a quarter way. I grabbed the nearest thing I could find, a fireplace poker, and called the cops. They came, searched the entire property, and didn't find anyone. No signs of forced entry. They literally suggested it might have been the wind, even though it was dead still outside. After they left, I couldn't shake the feeling that someone had been in the house. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. The third day, things got weirder. A drawer in the bathroom had been pulled open, the dog food bin was unlatched, and one of the upstairs windows, one I never opened, was pushed up just about an inch or two. That night I stayed up, kept all the lights off, sat in the dark living room with a kitchen knife in my lap, waiting. At around 3:10 a.m. I heard it. A very faint sound of footsteps upstairs. I crept toward the staircase. My heart was racing, and as I leaned to peek up, I saw the silhouette of a man standing at the top of the stairs. He wasn't moving, he just stood there like he was listening. I backed into the kitchen to hit the alarm panel. Thankfully, the family had told me the code in case of emergencies. As soon as the alarm blared, the man sprinted down the hallway, but not toward the stairs. I heard a window shatter. Police arrived minutes later and found signs that someone had been living in the attic upstairs. Old food wrappers, a blanket, even a burner phone. They think he'd been entering and exiting through the upstairs window for days, waiting until I fell asleep to move around. He was never caught. Needless to say, I don't house it anymore, and I don't think I ever will again.